I'm Therese Swenson, and I'm here in the Alvarado studio. This is here on the corner of South Siskiyou Boulevard in Weed, and it's a new little TV studio for public access. It's the Siskiyou Media Council, and I think the number's 918, maybe 9411, but go to the web and see if you can find Siskiyou Media Council. We have public access. Channel 15 is in Mount Shasta, and in Wairika, our public access is Channel 4. Anyway, today I'm working on a little project where I want you to be a tourist in your own town. And I'm going to be visiting some different locations, even though your cell phone or your map might show you different places to go. I'd like to show you the outside view of where you might drive up to for a hike, or to get refreshment, or to buy a sandwich or a little bit of food. So I have some different ideas I want to show you today. I want to take you to South Siskiyou. Now, South Siskiyou County is right up against Shasta County. And what I didn't get to, the very lowest point I would go, is Sims. And that is exit 718. Now, I didn't get there, but they have a wonderful little campground and a bridge that goes across the river. That's a wonderful place to go on a hot day and take a picnic lunch. The river's not very deep, not a foot deep there, but it's one of the tributaries that comes off and joins into the Sacramento. So that's Sims Road, that's 718. But I start my travels with you at the exit 724. I got off where the Chevron station is for Amaratis, and I took a picture of Castle Craig's Park. So I think I have a slide to add to this. There it is, and that is Castle Craig's Park, and there's a state park that I want to tell you about, and also there is a campgrounds. There's a place to park and hike. You can drive all the way to the top. It's about 1.5 miles up. And then there is a day use fee. I do want to tell you that. If you come and you use the facility, it's $8. And if you want to camp, I think it's $25. And they do have restrooms. Anyway, the views are beautiful. From the top, you can see this Castle Craig, I think it's called the Dome, but it's, after you get to the top of the hike, the Pacific Crest Trail goes along the state park and goes through this Castle Craig's. I think that shows you the Pacific Crest Trail. And then when we went, you look to the other direction. Did we put a picture of, then we came down off there, and the next off-ramp was that we stopped at was Railroad Park. We passed Soda Creek because you can't really go to the old soda fountain because it's on private land. So we then got off at exit 728. This is Railroad Park, and it's a nice place if you want to come. They do have a campground, but you can also stay in a caboose. They have a little market where you can get a few things if you're camping, but they also have a little souvenir shop here where you can mail a postcard, and they have a wonderful restaurant where you can eat inside of a rail car. And so it's really fun. I have some better pictures to add later from the inside that I don't think I caught here. But I'd like to show you the outside of what you might see if you drive up upon it. And here is the Railroad Park. Inside, right by the restaurant, is this old train that's recently been refurbished and painted sharp black. Looks great. That's Railroad Park exit 728, and you can camp in a caboose, or you can eat in a restaurant, or you can bring your own camper. They have a campground. So that's Manfredi's is actually the next exit up, and that's exit 729. And Manfredi's is now a Valero station, but what's wonderful about Manfredi's is on Friday they have a barbecue, and they make those tri-tips, and they make wonderful sandwiches all week long. If you're ever coming from the south and you're coming up I-5 and you get to exit 729, remember this. They have a deli where they make fresh sandwiches that are delicious. And you can have a hard roll, sourdough, or you can get their nice soft rolls. Now, if you keep coming into town, into Mount Shasta from towards into Dunsmuir, you come to the city well, and that is where you can fill up a thermos or a water bottle, and you can sit there in the shade for a minute and gather with friends. And just below it, I'm not sure if I got a picture, but there's the community garden. But across the street is the Mexican restaurant that's called La Perla. La Perla. And that is Sing Thong's old restaurant. Sing Thong's used to be in Etna. It's a wonderful Thai restaurant. And they're now the Blue Room. Up the way, there's the Flamingo. They kind of have a little market there. So they've moved up the street. But the La Perla is the Mexican traditional cooking. So you might want to try that. And then Sing Thong's has a little trading company and the Blue Sky Room, you can see. So anyway, those are places where you can stop for a refreshment or to fill up your backpack. A lot of times people walking the Pacific Crest Trail, they come down off the trail so that they can refill their water or check their mail or refill their backpacks. And Mount Shasta is now known as a Pacific Crest host city. So there's a place to cross over and come into Mount Shasta. Anyway, this is the historic city of Dunsmuir, and this city well has been tiled by some local artists, but it's a good place to get a drink of water. And then if you look up the street, I think we took a picture of the, this is the Cornerstone. Yes, this is before we drop down. So the Cornerstone, I love that sound of the stone that's in the corner of the building. It's like the most important stone. It marks the corner and bears the weight. And that's a restaurant that's delicious cooking. And then if you go down around the corner and down the street, there's the pizza factory right across the street. And they have wonderful pizzas and an upstairs room for kids to hang out, kind of do games. They have lots of things that the kids can entertain themselves with upstairs, and good pizza. So that's there. And what else is on this street? There's a little fudge factory. Okay, now down around the corner is the Brown Trout. That was painted by Tom O'Hara. And they have wonderful food there. It's now called the Wheelhouse. And it's the Brown Trout building. And they have wonderful food and they have games. You can go in there and take your family and sit and play games. They have board games. Some of them they can just take off the shelf. Other ones they want to keep track of. They want you to sign out or something because parts are important. So, but there's always games you can play with your family. And then there's also a place inside the Brown Trout where they have a rug they take off the floor where you can see the water running by, the creek that runs by towards the Sacramento River. There's a lot of springs in them thar hills. Next door is the Dough Hook, and they have wonderful bread, and they're open, I think, 4 or 5 days a week. And one of the great things about the Dough Hook is you can get a wad of pizza dough. So you can stop in there and get pizza dough and make your own pizza. So if you have family coming to town and some of them are vegetarians, you can get a couple rolls of that. And also my girlfriend makes pizza dough out of cauliflower and Parmesan. Anyway, the Dough Hook also has a wonderful baguette I like to get, and wonderful sandwiches, and they make yummy things too. So if you're hiking and walking on some of these trails I'm going to show you, I can't remember the next picture. I think Magdalena's up the street as we went around the corner. And this is the brew factory, the brewery in Dunsmuir, the brewery. And there's a little coffee, the espresso coffee clutch opens up once in a while, and they park at the north and south end of town. But the brewery has something wonderful. It's a bruschetta. And they, of course, they have lots of brews because it is a brewery. But the bruschetta and a chef's salad you can share with somebody. It's wonderful. I love to eat at the brewery. Okay, that's the Dunsmuir Brewery. They make their own beer there. You can kind of see some of the vats and the equipment that they're using to make it. It's right there across from the little children's park. across from the library. Good reason to stop at the library. Then as you're heading up the street towards Mount Shasta, Dunsmuir Supermarket has now reopened. All new shelves and things they've remodeled. And they have a wonderful meat and deli section where they have pre-cooked meats, where they have a rotisserie and different ways that they cook. So there's something you can pick up quick to bring home and slice. So you might want to stop there. They also have an espresso just up the street where you can get coffee, and they often have something if you just want a quick snack to go with coffee. They have a little sandwich or something they have there. I can't remember if it's just muffins, or I think they used to make a taco or a sandwich. Anyway, and then around the corner and down the street is the Yaks, which you see from the freeway at the central turnoff. Yaks is the right next to the gas station. It's the old hitching post, I think, and they have cinnamon rolls, and it's a wonderful place to stop for coffee, and they have different things that they serve. So some people like their big hamburger, and everybody has a favorite. So then up the street is a little, I think it used to be called Don's. I don't know what it's called now, but it's a high hamburger spot right by the pool. So the kids all go there for a frosty ice cream. If you just feel like you want an ice cream, they have good soft serve ice cream, and they make malts. And in the summer, and they have fresh berries, they'll make you a fresh berry shake. It's called Sten's now. Sten's Burgers and something. Anyway, that's right there in Dunsmuir by the pool. And here right up the street is the baseball diamond. That's the Botanical Gardens. So if you know anybody coming to town to play baseball, you can park there and go down to the city park. There's a little city park below this. I'm not sure if we went down and took a picture. But down at the bottom, you can get to the Sacramento River. And I think this is as far as we went. Did we take pictures down below? The Sacramento River's down at the bottom, but there's an old fountain there that's going to be refurbished this year. Now, this is Hedge Creek Falls. We've gotten back in the car and driven towards Mount Shasta. And this is the Siskiyou off-ramp, Siskiyou, I think it's called. There's 3 off-ramps in Dunsmuir, South Dunsmuir Central, and now this one. And it's by the Castle Craig water plant. Their water is sold in glass bottles. But this is Hedge Creek Falls, and it's a nice little switchback trail. And it goes down to a real remarkable kind of a volcanic rock formation that looks like octagons. I don't think we took a picture from the bottom, but if you ever go down there and you look up, it's like a quartz, and one of the pieces of the quartz has broken off and it's created a waterfall, and you can fill your water bottles there. It's a good place to take your water bottle and your and fill it, because it's fresh spring water coming right out of the mountain, snow runoff. This is what it looks like to get in there. They have a little place you can get a drink and fill but you can walk a switchback trail to the bottom, which I didn't do on this day. But it's one of the places I'd like to remind you to go hike. Then if you're coming into Mount Shasta, you've come on the first exit into Mount Shasta, South Mount Shasta Boulevard. There's a Thai cuisine called Phuket or something. What's this called? Anyway, it's a cafe coming. People say the food is really good. And it's very fresh and delicious. It's a good picture of the mountain. Then when you get into town, across the street, there's a Mexican restaurant on one side and a Tex-Mex on the other. This is actually a hotel, but they have pool tables and a little bar if you want to have a beer, and comfortable chairs to visit if you come and have your family meet you there, and you can all have a little appetizer and a beer, or they have some food that they serve there. And then they do music events. They'll get a big tent and have a music event. It's kind of fun because they're right on the main street across from Casa Ramos, maybe. So then what is that? I can't see. That's the Tex-Mex, and then that shows the Shasta Inn is the name of it. And across the street is Casa Ramos. That's the Shasta Inn is what it's called, where you can eat there, the restaurant and bar. So then across the street is Casa Ramos. That's a Mexican restaurant where you can sit outside on the deck in the summer. They have a bar. They have a little tiny room in the back if you want to have a meeting or have your family gather and meet there. There's a little room you can close off and make a lot of noise and spank somebody for a birthday or whatever you might want to do. Okay, and then up the street is Lily's Restaurant. Wonderful restaurant. Very lovely. Excellent food. I love some of the different things I've gotten there. It's just delicious. They have a wonderful brunch sometimes. And Anyway, and just next door is Seven Sons. You might have seen this. It's a little coffee shop. They have the most wonderful coffee. And something they have that I love to get now, if I tell you they're going to sell out, they make these cookies that are $1.50 each. They have a Ranger, which is kind of like a Rice Krispie something, and oatmeal. And then they have a chocolate chip, and they also have a peanut butter or a molasses sometimes. But it's delicious, and it's easy to just get a couple of those and have them if you're hiking. They're a delicious cookie for hiking because they'll give you energy. And then they have good food. Then up the street's Mount Shasta Pastry. They're open about 5 days a week, and they make excellent breakfast. And they have to-go bread, like you might want a pumpkin bread to go to somebody's house. You can have them cut it. They also make banana bread. You can plan ahead. They'll make a casserole for you or something if you want enchiladas or something. He'll make up something for you. Then if you get to Berryvale, they have a wonderful restaurant inside, the Garden of Eden, and it's wonderful. Inside to the left there, we took some pictures, I think, at the end of this clip, but inside they have a deli and they have wonderful organic healthy foods in there. Across the street, there's tamales if you like homemade tamales. She makes a delicious, she's so well known. She's there like 3 or 4 days a week, and people come and buy them up, take them home, and feed their family. Then, of course, I don't know, did we get Pancho and Leftowitz across the street? I don't know if we got them. No, the bistro's down the street, and the bistro is excellent chef. He used to have a French restaurant in town called Serge. Serge's restaurant was called something. Anyway, he has the bistro, and that is the best, excellent, people say best hamburger on the planet, but also they have mini brews of beer. It's right there with a nice view of the mountain. There's outdoor seating. So that's right on the corner as you're coming through town. What other restaurant did she get? Andamans. This is the Thai restaurant right on Mount Shasta Boulevard, right next to City Hall, right downtown. It's the old Michael's. Before that, when I first came to town, it was the John Muir Bakery and Deli. And we used to have a counter where you could sit and have breakfast, and we made breakfast and lunch, and we had sprouts and things back in the day. Okay, this is Sparky's is across the street. It's a new restaurant that took over, what is that? Strings and Sparky's. And so it was Lucille's too. But anyway, they're a new restaurant with good food. And next door is the Pipeline. To the Sparky's is a restaurant on one side. They make pizzas and good cooking. And next door here, you see the Pipeline. And if the next slide, I think, shows the restaurant name, Pipeline. And they have a bar in there, and they also make a pizza. And they have a lot of tables kind of looking out the window, so you can look out the window. And then up the street, did we get the old freight station? Is that what we got next? Yak's across the street. So Yak's is another Yak's. There's one in Dunsmuir. And when you come into Mount Shasta, and they're getting ready to expand and do street tacos across the street. So they're kind of remodeling across the street to make a kind of open to the public, come and go, take, or, you know, come and make your own and go. Crave. Now, this is around the corner across the street from Ace Hardware, and it's called Crave, and it used to be my dentist many years ago, Stevens, and right around the corner is a hairdresser. So they have homemade tacos and different specials. They had rice and chicken one day, but it's delicious, hands-on kind of a barbecued chicken in the back. I think they could make things to go to if you were having a party. They could make you something for your event. Crave. Now, Mount Shasta Supermarket makes really good sandwiches, and you can pick up a already made baked chicken and take it home and make your own enchiladas or make your own stir fry, or you can use that baked chicken to cut it up and serve to, you know, people that just want to have a little light meal. They can add it to a salad. Also, they have on Fridays, they do the big, they barbecue a lot actually, but they do the big tri-tip, I think, is everybody loves on Fridays. And then on the weekends, of course, they do ribs and sometimes meatloaf and things. So this is Mount Shasta Supermarket. And I'm thinking just up the street, what am I looking at here? This is the chai shop. That's across the street from the Mount Shasta Super. And the chai shop is a little, I don't know how much food they have, but I think they have coffee and tea and maybe snacks. I haven't eaten there, I have to be honest. but they have regular little events where people play music and you can bring your instrument and play along, kind of open mic. Then across the street is the Burger Express. Now that's a historic building. You can't really see. I didn't get a good picture, but that's the old freight station. The train actually used to stop there many years ago. And now, of course, it stops in Dunsmuir. Now, if you go straight out of town over the freeway, there's the fish hatchery. And this is the state of California maintains this fish hatchery to feed all the lakes and ponds and streams and places that they put fish. And so you can come in and see from very small to how they're getting ready to be shipped out and dropped into lakes. You can come in and get a tour. They also have a wonderful museum. And they have different in the vents in the back of the museum, but oh my gosh, it's the most wonderful. You must go. And then across the street, up the road north from the fish hatchery, is something called the El Serap Nature Study Area. I'm not sure if we stood back and took a picture of the entrance, but it is dedicated, this piece of property, because it's got a wetland to it, and it's a lovely little hike to take kids on. And I think there used to be some trip, stumble, and fall over a river and fun things to do. And if it's a hot day you didn't mind getting a little wet, they might have made it a little more safe now, but it used to be a lot of fun. That's the El Serap. That's across the street from the fish hatchery. So then when you, I guess they've made this recent explanation of who she is and how this land was dedicated and donated, and it's being maintained now and kept up. Now that's the museum across the street, just to give you the proximity. So El Serap is really across the street from the fish hatchery, and then you've got El Serap and the museum. So all that's in one area. You can just park your car and have a nice little walk and see how the fish are moved from indoors, little ponds where they keep them, and then they move them outside. But it's kind of neat to go there and take kids there. And they have Dick Bliss Park. So I like to tell people, be a tourist in your own town, start making a lunch and taking it out and sitting on a park bench and enjoying it. I like to invite people up to Immigrant Lake, just over the border in Southern Oregon. And it's just a wonderful place. They have covered areas. But this is right there at the central turnoff in Mount Shasta, Dick Bliss Park. It's right at the fish hatchery. So you can bring a lunch and enjoy the spring coming on this time of year, or the fall leaves in the fall. But it's always entertaining. Now, if you go north of town and you've gone through Mount Shasta City and you're getting ready to get back on the freeway, at the north end of town is the Mount Shasta City Park. And here we have an area for kids. Oh my gosh, I hope I got the other park. They have an area for kids to play. And there's a nice little hike. That's where the headwaters is of the Sacramento River. We like to tell people this is the earliest point in Mount Shasta where the Sacramento River is joining together with all the little tributaries and creeks and streams, and joining together to make the Sacramento River that goes on down to Sacramento and then out to the ocean, actually. And so the headwaters of the Sacramento River are here at this city park. And so people come and there are places to fill your thermos. But the Shastis Park is the other park. That's north of town. I did want to mention, back at the other park, I want to mention there is a little hike around the Mount Shasta Park where you can actually go across a bridge and right here at the city park. There is a little hike here where you can go over the river and go around, and there's an area where there's a little course, a little endurance course, and then you can come back over the river at another point. So it's kind of a fun little hike to take kids on, and there's some great kids things there. Now, the other park I'm glad to see we got was Shastis Park, and that is up on Rockefeller. It's above the baseball diamond in Mount Shasta, and Shastis Park has an ice skating rink, and so a lot of people know it for the ice skating rink. And at the time I took the picture, the rink was open, but I'm not sure it is now, because this time of year, I think they actually put down wood floors so you can roller skate on it. But it's a nice place. We have tennis courts there. There's a baseball diamond. There's a football, soccer field. It's all right behind the kids' high school. So there's lots of lawns and areas for kids to play games. So anyway, Shastis Park is wonderful. This is Pancho and Leftowitz. I'm glad we got back and got this. Back in town near the post office, this is called Pancho and Leftowitz. And this place has wonderful burritos. I like their Polish and sauerkraut, Polish dog sauerkraut with mustard. But they have wonderful food. It's right on Main Street. I like to show you all these places in case you're coming into town and you're hungry. Of course, you'll find the local market, Ray's Market, or the Mount Shasta supermarket to buy groceries. But if you just want to get something to eat, I've been trying to show you, there it is, Pancho and Leftowitz. I've been trying to show you the outside of the front of all these restaurants. So I'm glad I was able to take you on that tour. I think there's one more, there's the, at the end of town, there's an Indian food restaurant. Oh, Mike's and Tony's. That's the Italian restaurant downtown. They have wonderful raviolis, a nice bar. They have comfortable booths in the bar, 3 or 4 that can be reserved, and family dining. And it's kind of Italian, fine dining Italian style. You pass the bowl of soup around, you pass the salad around. It's a wonderful place. They have fried chicken dinners and spaghetti and meatballs, and it's wonderful. I love to eat at Mike's and Tony's. And then that's right on the main street, right by Marketplace Insurance. American and Italian dinners, Mike's and Tony's. They have a nice little bar if you want to come in and sit. Oh, also at the south end of town, when you first come into town, I should put these more in order. But the Finlandia, which is right next to the Wellness Center, has now been remodeled to be the Lodge. The Lodge. And they're doing some interesting things. They have a hostel there. And so you can get a bed to bed down and take a shower and have a locker. And that's about $50 for the hostel space to sleep. And a shared communal space for cooking and sitting by the fire. They do music on Saturdays. They're trying to have a open mic night on Saturday evening about 6 o'clock. They like people to just bring in a musical instrument and sing a song. And they're hoping that people, as the Pacific Crest Trail people come down and want to stay a day and get repacked and go into town and do laundry and shop, that they might want to stop there at the Lodge. What's nice, they also have dirt bikes there, and they'll rent them out to you. Now, as you're going north in town, Lalo's is our other Mexican restaurant. It's the longest. I think it's been there 30 years. Mexican food, steak, seafood, vegetarian. Lalo, everybody knows Lalo. I think he's cooked there forever, ever. He's got hands on keeping the restaurant going. And they have a nice little bar if you want to have a group of people meet for a cocktail or a fruit, Virgin Mary fruit, whatever. You're welcome to come in to Lalo's and use the bar to have everybody meet. And just around the corner from Lalo's, it's called Sri Ram. And this is the Indian food, and they have barbecue, and they have many different flavors and tastes, and people love this. But one of the things they're most known for, if you come at lunchtime, you can get the $6 or $7 bowl of rice. And I'm not sure if it comes with vegetables, how that works, but it's just for a very reasonable price. You come and get a quick bowl of rice and take it, and you can add to it or share it or whatever you want to do. But try their lunchtime to-go box. It's a box of rice to go. So check that out. This is the Garden of Eden, where I like to remind people, Tom O'Hara painted that at the Berryville Market. They have some great pictures along there, but they have food there. They can make you something like heat things up like lasagna and things. They have salads, a beautiful beet salad the other day. Different food all the time. The restaurant's doing excellent. You can get things to go. So thanks for joining me. I wanted to tell you that I wanted to give you some visual memories of places to go, because sometimes we forget where to go, and it's important to get out and just be a tourist in your own town. You don't have to leave town to try some of these different places. Come on down just to Railroad Park to show the kids close-up of a train. It's kind of a neat place to go for a day. And they have a little pond out there where you can sit and have a sandwich. You can bring your own lunch as well. So thanks for joining me. My name's Therese Swenson. I'm here at the studio in Weed, the Alvarado studio for public access. And I don't know when my show's on. I'm hoping about 7:30 Monday nights and Saturday noon, but I'm not sure how it fits into the schedule here. So thanks for joining me, Therese Swenson. And this series that I'm doing is called Places to Go. Thank you.